Students, greetings from Chitkara University. I am Narendra Karcha and my expertise lies in the field of sales and marketing. Let me welcome you all to this session on marketing management. Today, we'll be discussing about analyzing market information, micro and macro both, and we'll get to know more about marketing environment definition, components of marketing environment, internal environment, external environment, micro, external environment, macro, and marketing environment. How does it affect marketing decision making? Let's look at a definition of marketing environment, which goes: a company's marketing environment consists of the factors and forces outside of marketing that affect marketing management's ability to build and maintain successful relationship with the target customer. So we're trying to explore, we're trying to analyze, so what are the forces which are working, which impact the marketing management ability to build relation with their target customer, because there are a lot of forces which are working internally also. There are a lot of forces that are working externally, and an organization which has to grow and build relation with the customer has to take into account both the aspects, which is internal and external. We know that every organization has its own objective, it has got its own goals, but then it is not only about defining those goals, it is about ensuring that they are able to achieve their goals, even if they have to take care of various factors which are there in the market, which makes the entire environment very, very dynamic. So the component of marketing environment are both internal and external. And in external, we have micro and macro components as well. Let's start with internal environment. The internal environment encompasses all internal aspects and forces that can influence or be influenced by the organization's choices, operation, and decision. So we're typically looking at an organization and we're looking at different functions within the organization. So what do they have? They have their value system, they have their vision and mission, they have their objectives well defined, they have their corporate culture, they have human resource, they have other labor unions also. So everything needs to be taken into account. And here we are talking more about the internal environment. So let's begin with the value system. This is very, very important, because value system actually becomes a guiding principle for the organization. And everybody is trying to align and work towards the realization of those goals. Now, how does value system helps? Actually, it guides businesses to achieve their goals. It consists of all those components that are part of the regulatory framework, such as culture, climate, work process, management practices, norms of the organization. Now, I'll just share with you, there are some organizations where their value system would be based on respect for individual, integrity, teamwork, excellence, attitude. So somewhere they're trying to build the right kind of culture. Now, this is a very, very complex process. It doesn't happen overnight. Culture takes sometimes years and years to build, when people start thinking and start aligning their own personal goals with that of the organization. And once they start thinking in that direction, I think that is the time the organization also starts believing that their value system is being followed, it is being executed in letter and spirit. But it is easier said than done, because all these organizations at the end of the day are trying to create an ideal culture, which is very, very difficult to have, because people have diverse thoughts, they have diverse views, they have conflicting priorities, and that is the reason sometimes they are not able to align. But most of the organizations, they have value system because they want to set certain standards within the organization based on certain regulatory framework that these norms are followed. They try and create a healthy work environment and try and follow the right kind of management practices. So this helps the organization to work as a well-oiled machinery. So there's no coercion at the end of the day. There's no friction. The moment the organizations are able to align to their value system and they are able to execute their value system, there's a phenomenal change in the results of such organization, and they're able to achieve their goals faster and in a more meaningful manner. Earlier also, dear students, we have touched upon vision and mission and objectives. Now, what is vision? I had shared with you vision is a future position stance an organization wants to take. It is a desired future state and probably an inspirational statement also, and this comes from the top management because they say that we want our organization to be here 10 years from now. Maybe they're saying that we want to be the preferred partner for organizations, seeking innovative solution. Maybe an IT company can have that kind of vision statement. Whereas a mission, it defines the company's business, the way to reach and accomplish goal. They're trying to tell that if this is the mission, then this is how you achieve your vision. So it will talk about the how part as to how are you going to achieve the vision. And then comes the organization structure, which determines the way in which activities are directed to reach the ultimate goal. So within the organization, you need to have a structure because structure makes the organization more organized. This structure makes the organization more professional. And we know that being professional also leads to a positive perception both for the internal customer and for the external customer. So they can have any kind of structure. They can have metric structure where people are reporting to different heads. They may have a functional head could be different, admin head could be different. Then they can also have a functional structure, based on what all they're doing, based on what kind of role they or product line they want to address. Divisional structure is more related to the product service they want to address. So they are segregated that way. Bureaucratic again is, this is a defined job role or this is the department. So they take care of that very department. So there are various approaches they may have when we talk of structures, people doing it basis their role or need of the market. So whatever is best suited to serve their customer, that is how the structure is also decided. So when we're looking at internal environment, I think value system, vision and mission, and organization structure, they immensely impact the internal health of any customer, any organization. Let's look at corporate culture. We've been listening to this corporate culture time and again. What actually makes a culture, corporate culture? What is corporate culture? Because they need to have powerful system of rules and values, beliefs, behavior, and communicate and manage the external affair. Now, when we talk about corporate culture, it is actually based on values. And companies, those who have stood the test of time, it is only because they had strong embedded values in the organization and people were living those values. So if we talk about companies like Tata or we talk about bigger organization, they have survived only because they had strong value system in the organization. Value system is where they are talking about people. They have they're talking about processes, they're talking about products, and they are trying to embed a culture where people follow a certain path, they based on their beliefs and behavior. And the idea is that everybody try and align with the values and execute it on day-to-day basis, whether it is talking to customer, are they respecting the customer or not, or are they disrespecting? Even if there is small bill that they need to get it approved, are they really using their integrity behind it, or are they trying to cheat the organization? So everything and everywhere values come into play. So this is what actually defines a corporate culture, when everybody knows what the culture is all about, what the values and beliefs are all about, what are the goals of the organization, and how an individual should be behaving in that particular situation. And I'm sure once the values are clear and they are clearly communicated to people within, then on one hand, the results definitely are phenomenal. On the other hand, it also mitigates the margin for any kind of dilemma, because they know what is right and what is wrong. Value is actually about knowing what is right and what is wrong. Communicate and manage external affair, yes, because it's not that they only a company would live internally. They communicate, externally also, and the kind of image that they can project through their values to the outside world also makes a lot of difference. Human resource, yes, forms all employees and other personnel associated with the business. They are the binding force behind the human capital, and their role is immensely important. They hire talent. It is about talent acquisition. It is about organization, behavior, and development. It is about performance management. It is about reward and recognition. So human resource actually plays a major role. And when I said talent acquisition, they need to first hire and line up a strong workforce for any organization, which is not simple. Your students, the top management would only, tell the HR that they need to have, say, a team of 100 people or 300 people. Then it is the job of the human resource department to line up people based on the roles that they have to offer to different people, which is not easy, because it is then competency mapping also comes into place, that are they hiring the right person for the right role, because sometimes mismatch of roles also lead to great problems in any organization. If there's mismatch of competencies, if there's mismatch of the kind of skills and expertise that are required for that particular role, it can cost the organization in a big way. There are sometimes key positions in the organization, if I have to talk. Your vice president sales, or your person, somebody who's heading the supply chain management, your person who's heading the finance department, a person who's also heading the HR department. So if you hire a wrong person and he works for that organization and does not have the right kind of capabilities or skills or expertise, I think that can be damaging for the organization, because that person on one hand will spoil. Now I'm again using the word culture, because he doesn't know how to carry on his day-to-day activity. He doesn't have the expertise. So there's loss of money, there's loss of resources, and this impacts the organization in a negative way. Well, success or failure of organization highly depends on HR. I told you right away that human resource has a great role to play, and they are also custodian of values. When we're talking about organization behavior and development, I think what I'm trying to hint at it is that when we say that their values are defined by the top management, maybe the board of directors, but then who's the custodian? Who's the one who's going to take it down? Who's the one who's going to ensure that these values are embedded in the culture of the organization? It is actually human resource department, because they deal with people day in and day out basis. So I was just sharing with you, if you hire a wrong person, what could be the consequences? Imagine you hire somebody as head of supply chain management, and that person is not good at it. So you will have a problem in terms of the product not reaching the right place. And this can negatively impact the sales and revenue of that organization. And in addition to this, it will also impact the team that he's been heading. There'll be a lot of demotivation there. People may leave that organization because they're not able to get that kind of knowledge, that kind of guidance, that kind of support from the head, because the head himself or herself is not capable enough to take care of that very department. Now, physical resources and technological capabilities refer to the tangible assets of the organization, which play important role in asserting the competitive capability of the company, and also the technical know-how of the organization, how tech savvy they are, what are the kind of equipment they have, what are the kind of infrastructure they have, and is it helping them to have an edge over competition? And what kind of tech savvy people do they have? Is that really helping them to have that kind of competitive edge over other organizations? Everything comes into play, and they have to take care of this as well. Now let's look at the external environment, micro. You have firms, that you have organizations, and within organizations there are other firms also, which may impact the organization from outside. You have suppliers; they may supply, and they're supplier for competitors also. So, if they give more importance to suppliers of other organization B instead of organization A, this will again impact the business. So your relationship with the supplier also makes a lot of difference. The kind of processes you've been able to devise and sit and strategize with supplier also makes a difference. Market intermediaries. We're talking about the channels in supply. In terms of if I talk about your channel partners, it could be distributors, it could be retailers, it could be wholesalers. Their ways of working, because they are external, they are not part of the organization, but they support the organization in business. So anything that happens there is not within the control of the organization. So they have to take care of that as well. Customers, I think this is one of the most dynamic aspect of external environment. Customers have their own needs, they have their own wants, and which keeps on changing. It is so dynamic. And all organizations, they try and research as much as they can about customer, but then it's an external environment. Their tastes, their habits, their preferences, it could change anytime. Competition, definitely. You cannot control competition. You can look at certain things within, and it is said control the controllable first. But when we talk about competition, it is something outside the organization. And suddenly, there's a new product in the market, and that negatively impacts the sale of the product from organization A. It was selling very well, but suddenly, because all organizations, they are trying to come up with the best of the products, they're trying to compete, they're trying to offer added advantages, added features to people, to their customer. So suddenly, if there's an introduction of a product in the market, and then you see that it impacts. We had Nokia, as a classic example we've been sharing. And then suddenly we had Samsung with dual SIM. And the market kind of moved from Nokia to double SIM market. device market. So this change happened because Nokia did not control competition. It's an open market. But then they did not change at that point in time, looking at the competition, and they paid a price for that as well. So these are external environment, which an organization may not be able to control, but they know it can impact their business. So they try and proactively work towards it and try and predict how the market is going to behave, how the public will behave, how customers will behave, right? How the market intermediaries will behave, how suppliers would behave, how other firms would behave. So everything needs to be taken into account. You cannot live in a world where you feel that you're absolutely insulated. You will never ever be, you can never ever have a feeling of being insulated, because competition it is always trying and striving hard to bring about their own product, have newer and newer introduction in the market, and to ensure that they are able to get benefit, revenues, and income out of the market. Now we've seen firms, developing a marketing strategy must consider other divisions of the company also, because sometimes there's cannibalization also of a product that happens. So they have to look at that. What the firm within the organization may also act as an external factor for them. Suppliers we've already seen, because they are there for the competitors also. And we've also looked at the market intermediaries like wholesalers, retailers, and distributors also. And sometimes, we've seen that some distributors, they kind of tie up with the few brands. We talk about some exclusive rights. There was one point, a product X selling very well. Now there's a big mobile distributor in the city, and suddenly, an X brand comes and says that we give you exclusive rights for this state. So all you need to do is you need to buy a product in bulk. So somewhere they're blocking competition. That if this distributor or wholesaler has spent entire money, getting their product, though they are talking about exclusivity or exclusive right, but then at the end of the day, the distributor will not have enough money to invest in other brands. So this is an external factor which a company cannot control. But then proactively, it has to take into consideration that this may happen in the market, that these distributors or retailer or wholesalers may have ideas to collaborate with different brands. And brands are also trying to woo these retailers to their promotion plans, or giving them some value-added services, or giving them added advantage, or giving them more discounts, more schemes, incentives. And that is how they're impacting from externally, because they are not part of the organization. Customers, yes, they are the, I think, segment that we've already talked about. We talked about the competition also, and the micro environment of organization contains a variety of publics, any group that has actual or potential impact on organization ability to achieve its goal. So, and it could be an organization also. It can be a group of, a particular segment also, which can be a potential threat to as externally for that organization. It may impact their revenues, and it may impact the income also in an adverse manner. Now let's look at the external environment macro. We're talking about demographical aspect, social and cultural aspect, legal, political, economic, and technological. So when we talk about the demographic environment, it's about the study of population in terms of size, density, location, age, gender, race, occupation. So marketers are continuously interested in population related. What are the indicators? Will this be a good market in the long run? What will be the market growth if they focus on this very segment of people, maybe on the youngsters between age group of 11 to 13. So there's a lot of research that happen, and again, this is something an organization cannot control. It is beyond their control. Social and cultural situation, they're talking about social and cultural factors, purchasing habits, consumer purchasing habits and priorities may change. Earlier we used to go to um, open market shops and buy kirana things, items, but now we go to different outlets, malls. I'm talking about modern trade. So the preferences are changing. Suddenly, the person who was selling grocery next to your home is not selling much now because you would have started purchasing it from bigger outlets like DMart, Easy Day, Metro Cash and Carry. So it depends. People, their taste, their habits, everything can change, and this can change overnight also. Then let's look at the legal situation. The legal climate has an impact on market decision. Changes in political climate can, sometimes there are elections, and then we see, okay, due to election, there are certain other restrictions which are imposed and there is a change in the strategy of one government to the other government. So that can also impact the, the revenues that are getting generated and impacts externally. And then the taxation policy, everything, anything, related to political decision, legal decision can make a difference externally. Political environment, it's less predictable. Organizations must keep a close eye on the political landscape, all the laws, the taxation laws, the government agencies, other factors, that can impact the organization, the numerous groups and individuals in the community, and then the economic situation. Greatest impact on marketing decision because you cannot help. This is something purely external because if one thing, if we see there's a rise in price of certain commodity, it impacts everything. It's not that prices of one commodity have gone up, so it will not impact others. No, it may have some cascading impact on other commodity as well. So it is made up of element that influences on consumer purchasing power and spending patterns, primarily concerned with the amount of demand in the economy. And it is also the most visible aspect of macro environment. Technological setting, yes, it is dynamic, powerful factors at work, development of newer technologies. Every time we see a new technology coming in, some changes all over a period, but some technology changes so strong that we see a lot of disruption in the market. Even if you look at these social media platforms, the way they have come up, and the new technologies that are coming in, making businesses, offering that kind of ease of business, reaching out to customers becoming easier. If you've not scaled up, then these kind of technologies definitely they act as an external force and they might lead to and might impact revenues and the income of any organization. So this consists of research, development in technology, innovation, inducement of technology, and other alternatives that are available. Now let's look at the external environment once again. We talk about political, economical, social, technological, legal, environmental factors. So political is more about government policy, stability, tax policy. For economical, it is the economic growth, exchange rate, interest rate, and we've seen, any fluctuation in dollar pricing, it impacts. Then unemployment also impacts. If we talk about the social aspect, it is about the age, career attitude, safety, health, technology. We've already seen. We'll talk more about automation, R&D activity. So legal, looking at the legal environment here, pressure, from NGOs, and environmental. We talk about some discrimination law, antitrust laws, protection laws. So all of these they make that kind of impact, and the organization they need to be at least cognizant of these. They cannot help or stop these, but then they need to be cognizant of this. So how does it impact, decision making? So we're talking about taste and trends, budgets, budget and economy, strength of competitors, legal and political, considerations. So definitely this marketing environment, I think, helps in taking the right kind of decision, because at least they can predict and be proactive. You can't control external forces. You can manage. It is all about management of these external forces, because they are bound to be there. They will be there all the time. You can't control them, but you can always manage them, so that you proactively at least try and have certain processes in place to work on some predictable analysis, and that helps you safeguard your interests, and these things are bound to happen. So what kind of measures that you take at your organization level to at least give you some kind of protection uh, in the wake of any external forces that would be available in the market. So dear students, I'm sharing some references with you, which will come in handy while you try and explore more about this product. So thank you so much for your time. Take good care of yourselves. Stay good, stay healthy, and God bless.